What is going on, guys, and welcome to the video. Welcome to the first installment of the Bodybuilding for Beginners series. In this series, I'm going to be covering everything that you need to know when it comes to starting out in your bodybuilding journey as a beginner. I remember when I first started out on my own bodybuilding journey, there wasn't a ton of information out there for the simple things, the little things that I had questions for, such as like, what should my training split be? Where should my calories and macros start? What supplements should I be taking? Different things like that. So I wanted to go ahead and make this series for you guys so that you guys wanting to start your bodybuilding journey can go ahead and start so with ease and clarity. So in this first episode of the Bodybuilding for Beginners series, we are going to be covering what your training split should be. So without further ado, sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. So you are wanting to start out on your bodybuilding journey. You want to go ahead and start building your physique so that one day you could potentially step on stage in a competition. Now, when it comes to training splits, there are so many different training splits out there. You got the push-pull legs, you got the bro split, you got the upper-lower split, you got the specialization programs, all of these different training programs out there. So it can be very overwhelming. It can be very difficult to know which one is going to suit you best and which one is going to suit your needs best. So before we can determine what training split is going to suit you best, we first have to ask ourselves a couple of different questions. So the first question is going to be, what does your schedule look like? What are your time constraints? How much time do you have? How many days per week are you planning on training, or are you able to train? This is going to greatly impact what training split we choose to move forward with. If we only have 3 days to train throughout the week, doing a bro split might not be the most optimal way to go about things. So like I said, the first question you're going to ask yourself is going to be, how many days do you have to train throughout the week, and how many days can you consistently stick to? That is going to be one of the biggest things, is going to be, what can you consistently stick to? If you can consistently stick to 3 days per week, I would prefer you do 3 days per week consistently than try to do 5 days per week but be inconsistent with it. 1 week you do 5 days, 1 week you do 2 days, and just you're very inconsistent with it. So choose an amount that you can be consistent with, and you can always work your way up over time. Start out with 3 days per week, or work your way up to 4, work your way up to 5, different things like this. You can go ahead and slowly progress over time, but we want to make sure that it is something that we can be consistent with. So the next question you are going to have to ask yourself is going to be, what areas do you want to prioritize? Now, this could potentially be affected by the class that you are wanting to work towards. Now, I know this is very, very early in your journey to decide what class you obviously want to compete in, but if you have a general idea of what class you might want to compete in, then this could go ahead and give you an idea of some areas that you might want to prioritize. For example, if you are someone who is interested in potentially competing in men's physique one day, we might want to place a little bit more emphasis on your upper body as opposed to your lower body. Not saying that you should skip your lower body, but the volume and frequency with your lower body might be able to be a little bit lower because in men's physique you're wearing the board shorts. Same thing if you are a female who is wanting to compete in wellness, for example. You might want to go ahead and place a little bit more emphasis on your lower body as opposed to your upper body, because that is something that is going to be judged a little bit more heavily than the upper body is going to be. So just a couple different things that you need to go ahead and ask yourself, but I definitely think that when you are first starting out in your bodybuilding journey, that everything kind of just needs to grow as a whole. That's definitely what I needed to do when I first started out, is just everything needed to improve. I needed to improve my legs, my chest, my back, all of it, and then you can get a little bit more specific as you get a little bit more advanced in your journey. So we'll go ahead and now cover a couple of different training splits that you could potentially implement to see which one might suit you the best. So the first training split that is going to be probably one of the most common and most popular right now is going to be push-pull legs. Push-pull legs is basically what it sounds like. On our pushing days, we are going to go ahead and train our pressing muscles, which is going to be our chest, our shoulders, and our triceps. On our pulling days, we are going to train our muscles that do pulling movements. So that's mainly going to be our back, our biceps, and some people will do rear delts on that day as well. And then finally, we are just going to have an overall leg day. Now, I definitely think that push-pull legs is a fantastic split, especially if you are limited on time and you only have, say, 3 days per week to train, because this way you can go ahead and do 1 pull day, 1 push day, and 1 leg day. That's going to be a great way to start things out. Push-pull legs is also very good if you are a little bit more advanced as well and have a little bit more time, because then you could go ahead and do 5 days per week, for example, and you could do 2 push days, 2 pull days, and 1 leg day, or vice versa. You could do, 2 leg days, 1 push day, 2 pull days, depending on kind of where you feel your weak areas are. Currently, I do a modified push-pull leg split, so I do train 5 days per week, so I basically do 2 pull days, 2 push days, and 2 leg days. Essentially, one of those is kind of combined together of a pull and leg day. If you do want a little bit more in-depth look into what my personal training split looks like right now, definitely go ahead and check out the video that I did talking about my off-season plan. I covered my entire training split in that video. The next most common training split that we are going to see is going to be a bro split. Now, a bro split is basically where we are going to be training 1 to 2 muscle groups each session. So for example, we might have a chest and tricep day, we might have a shoulder day on its own, a back day on its own, an arm day on its own, a leg day on its own, etc. There is nothing wrong with this split. I did this split for many years and it did work very, very well for me, but I just found that as I progressed, moving to a push-pull leg split was something that personally worked better for me. But if you do find enjoyment in doing a bro split, then there is nothing wrong with that whatsoever. At the end of the day, it does have to come down to a combination of what is optimal for your physique and what is also enjoyable. If you hate doing a push-pull leg split, then don't do it. Do a bro split. Do something that's going to be more enjoyable for you, because then that is going to have more adherence in the long term and you're going to be able to stick with it better. And then finally, probably the third most common split that you're going to see is going to be an upper lower body split. Now, I do think that this does have some benefit, especially if you are someone who can only train, potentially 2 to 3 days per week. But I definitely think for bodybuilding purposes, this probably isn't going to be the most optimal training split, just because we can't really specify things and we can't really be specific when it comes to things that we are focusing on. For example, in an upper body day, you're just going to be doing, 1 exercise for chest, 1 exercise for shoulders, 1 exercise for triceps, and we're not getting a ton of volume or a lot of work with those sessions. So while I do think that it is good if you're training, 2-3 days a week, I definitely think that, the bro split or the push-pull leg split is probably going to be a bit more beneficial for your physique progress. But at the end of the day, it is going to come down to you. It's going to come down to what you are able to sustainably do. It's going to come down to what you are able to be consistent with, and it's going to come down to what your focus is. Like I said, if you are someone who is wanting to do men's physique, place a little bit more emphasis on the upper body, whereas if you're someone that is wanting to do maybe classic physique or open bodybuilding, you're going to need to focus on overall physique development. So definitely go ahead and play around with the different training splits, see which one suits you best, see which one you enjoy, see which one works with your schedule the best, and if you find one that you enjoy, if you find one that is working well for you, if you find one to be consistent with, then definitely go ahead and stick with that one, because that is going to help you see the best progress in the long term. But that is going to conclude episode 1 of the Bodybuilding for Beginners series. I hope that you guys did enjoy the video. If you guys have any questions about anything that I talked about in this video, definitely be sure to drop them down in the comments below, and I will be sure to answer them as quickly as I can. But if you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to drop a like on the video, subscribe if you guys are new around here for tons of content just like this. Other than that, I will catch you guys in the next video. Peace.